evening, everyone, and thank you for joining Candid Convo with Crystal. I am here with the amazing first home tuber. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good, Crystal. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm so glad to be getting back into shows where I can just talk to my friends, but talk to them about what journey they're on. So this is really exciting for me. I was like, I gotta get something, and after after Let the Lady Speaks show, and you had that declaration. I said, well, let me see if she does her own thing because I know that she's going to be talking about this a lot. So I said, let's see, because I have my own thoughts,
Okay.
but so we're gonna get to have a good time. Hey, Monique,
Hey,
thank you so much for hanging out with us, Monique. I know it's been a crazy couple of days for you. Yes. Hey, Misha.
hey,
And
Lisa.
honor of my guest, I have my shirt. This is
Yes,
um,
get
from
into that.
This is Love on Stage as line, but I'm worth it without exception as is. So I do a lot of merch. I do a lot of merch, but I really want to one support Black women, support
Mhm.
Black creators, but this really speaks to us. So let's talk about it. But first, um, first home tuber. How long have
Yes,
you
Crystal.
how long have you been a real estate agent?
I've been an agent. I was licensed in 2018. So since that time,
Okay, so you're licensed in two states, am I right?
yes, I've been that's when I was licensed in Illinois. I was recently licensed in Arizona. And so
Okay.
I'll be snowbirding. I'll be going there for the winter months and then coming back to Chicago for our busier spring and summer months.
So you said you guys do that often because Chicago is Chicago. So it was always going to be like that. You were always going to make sure and do Arizona or
No, I totally, when I became licensed, I love Chicago. I talk about it so much. I
you
obsess
do,
over
which I love.
I'm like, Chicago is the greatest ever. But I would winter in Phoenix and I just, I'd be paying for where I'm staying. I'd be paying for, to hike and do all the things that I want to do. And I was like, you know what? If I was licensed here, I could actually be making money instead of spending all of my money. And also, Arizona is very beautiful. While I was hanging out there, I get curious about land and property and laws, and they're so vastly different than here in Illinois. So I kind of got hooked, and I'm like, I'm probably halfway through pre-education technically. So
Mhm.
I went ahead and took the leap.
That is so interesting. So my first question is, and you just touched on education, so that's kind of where I was leading. But why real estate? What made you want to become an agent? Was that just always in your blood? That was just something excited you? What?
No, it wasn't in my blood. I went to school for business. I actually have a finance degree, and I have my experience in corporate America is in high level, C-level management.
Okay.
And so that was not like my path or the goal. What happened was I was in corporate America. I was making really great money. Shout out to that. And I wanted to begin investing in real estate because with my degree, I know all about, stocks and, financial instruments, but I didn't know anything about real estate and I wanted to invest. So for me, my way of, my approach to investment is to learn as much as you can about it. So, I took the broker course just because I wanted to know what agents knew because
Mm.
I didn't know anything about the industry. So I thought, oh, real estate agents work on commission. They are going to try to cheat me. They're going to make, side deals under the table. I didn't understand all of the applicable law and ethics codes that really protect people, the average consumer, everyone, when purchasing property. And so I began to feel a lot better about it. And then I was in class with this other guy, and we got super competitive about who would get the highest test score. And I wasn't even going to take the state test, but I just wanted to like one up him. and took the state test, passed it the first time, and everybody was like, "Oh, you never passed it the first time. What? You passed it the first time?" So I felt really great about myself. And then once I passed the state test, brokerages began on their own to attempt to recruit me. And I said, "Well, I'm licensed. Maybe it's something, else I could do or whatever." And started with my brokerage. And I love what I do so much. I can't even tell you. I was like, I wish I would have tried this out of high school even.
Right.
So that's what happened. Sorry to get long-winded.
No. That is so, because I get so like interested in what you're saying, the fact that you loved it so much. And I was just talking to Misha. It's so funny, we do our review earlier, and we were talking about loving what we do. So that's what I was like, but excuse me. So if you weren't a real estate agent, would you still be in that C-level management? What would you be doing if you weren't doing real estate? What would be your job?
I would, I don't even want to think about it. Because honestly, this is separate from, I didn't leave corporate America for real estate. I left corporate America because I needed to be out of corporate America. So I did a lot of community work, nonprofit work, organizing. I did a lot of community work for several years. So I probably would be doing that.
That's interesting. So what motivates you? As just first home tuber, what motivates you as getting up in the morning? What motivates you?
It's amazing to assist people and in this field, because it's such an important thing. And for many people, purchasing that first property is going to change the trajectory of your financial future. And I get to see it happen for them when they didn't, they might not have known that it could happen or be so great. And yeah, and also I'm kind of a property geek. Chicago is a beautiful city with incredible architecture and architectural history. So I get to geek out every day. So it's the people, it's the property, it's just like all of my favorite things.
Yeah, I totally understand that, and it's so exciting to see somebody like have their first home, or you're part of that. So I understand what you're saying. That is so interesting. So how long? Wait, so you got competitive with this guy that's in your course, and you took the brokerage license on a whim, but then how long did that take you after that? And then after getting your license, was that 6 months? How long was that?
It was a while. So I was licensed I took my state test. It was right at the end of the year, like literally like the turn of the new year. And like I said, I wasn't planning to go into real estate. I was planning to invest, to actually buy properties myself for investment. And so, people kept recruiting me. And then finally this one brokerage, felt right. So I think it was maybe about 6 months, because I wasn't thinking about it.
Yes.
But then, this one brokerage, I studied their model, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. So, they're like, oh, just come in and meet us. I was like, I'll come meet you guys. And it went from there.
And, after watching your channel, of course, and some of your shows, I'm like, I think she really likes education. I think you really, yeah, I really think you love just talking about it and just helping other people. And I was like, I think that she likes just educating people on it. And it's just like, she just loves this. So that's why I started on that line of questioning, and just what motivates you. And that's why I call this personal mastery as well, because the personal mastery is the process of living and working purposefully towards a vision. So in the end of this, so have you even, or you just like going with the flow, loving what you're doing, and not thinking about like what's your vision in with this? Just buying property and being done, and buying up and selling it, or what are you thinking of as your vision at the end?
You know, Crystal, you are so perceptive. Because I do enjoy education. When I was doing community work, and there were many different initiatives, but I started a program about financial literacy, you know, about money and, you know, how to invest and, you know, this is how you open your stock account, look at my screen, you know, that kind of thing. And I began it for teens, and they came in, the youth came in, and I always invited parents, you know, to be in the room, you know, like, because I think that's important. I think the parental, you know, connection with youth education is important.
Right.
And so I looked up one time, all of the parents were like writing things down and like raising their hand and asking questions. And I realized that, you know, that particular community was underserved in terms of that, and the parents didn't have it. So then I started an adult program. And yeah, I love that too. So that's interesting that you perceive that. The channel is so fun. It's so fun. And you know, I feel like, you know, many of us, because of, you know, our familiar history and also our history as a group in this country, you know, don't get this information, but we have every right to it. We deserve, you know, we deserve the info. So I do love sharing it. I do.
Do you believe that there's a certain trepidation about even asking? Because I agree with you that we don't know that we have access to this information. We don't know that we can get this information too, and we have every right to it, but we don't want to ask, or we, you know, just like you said, all those parents they were starved for that information, and they were like excited to, you know, get that information from you, but you know, nobody ever told me type of thing, and they're getting it from you instead of going to a bank. And so,
Yeah, because I work with, you know, in my client life, you know, I work with people who are very, you know, financially capable and sound and have a foundation, and you know what I mean. They're, you know, they're set, but they have parents who, you know, who own property, who know about property. They have parents who have set them up with their own properties or to have their own property, you know, et cetera. And it's just, you know, I noticed that gap, and I want to fill that gap.
mhm. We're gonna get to the other convo in a minute, y'all. But but I really wanted to, you know, just get to know First Home on a different level in a second. Because do you feel that there's kind of a poverty mindset, or no? What
I
would you?
think we I think we inherited the circumstance of poverty as a group.
Hmm.
And I think that out of that comes what I call the survival mindset, where we're
Hmm.
so focused on the short term, making ends meet, making sure everything is okay today, right now, that we're not, you know, we don't have the luxury of thinking that far into the future, because our right now, our present, demands so much of us.
I would agree with that. I I definitely agree with that. And it's almost like we never had the luxury of thinking with purpose or having that vision, or you know, that, you know, there are these books, that the purpose filled life and things like that. Listen, I got to pay this mortgage, and then, like, I got to pay these bills, keep the lights on. And so we just go through life sometimes, and that's why you had that. You it's almost like an epiphany you had, like teaching teens, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, like there's a need
We
for
really need this. Yeah, we really, really need it.
it's so true. That's so true. And I just appreciate that. So now you're born and raised in Chicago? Where are you from exactly? Because I know you said Chicago, that's where you are now, but where are you from?
I'm originally from LA. I was born and raised in LA.
Okay.
West Coast. I went to college down in Houston. I went to college in Texas. And then because I was in finance, that's what I was studying. It was either Chicago or New York, because I thought I was going to be trading. Like, there's a whole other life that was going to happen. So it was either Chicago or New York. Because when I was in college, I did my internship, my senior internship with Merrill Lynch.
Okay.
And I had a mentor there, a Black woman, bad, bad, bad. I'm talking up here.
Really? Yeah.
Managed millions of dollars upon millions of dollars for people in the US and Mexico. So I was working with her throughout summer, before senior year, and senior year. So my trajectory was, to go to Lynch. I just had to decide Chicago or New York. And
Mhm.
I love Chicago. I literally just took a trip here. I flew here from Houston immediately after graduation. I couldn't wait to get out of Texas. And I said, I just want to see. I had never been. And I was like, this place is lit. I didn't say lit at that time, but I was like, this place is amazing. So I chose Chicago over New York.
That is so funny. I went to New York just because I wanted to go. I was like, and I'm from Cali. I'm from Cali. Well, I was born in the South, but raised in California, raised San Diego, Oceanside area, and spent years in LA as well. And I was like, I've never been to New York. I'm a city girl. Let me go check it out. And of course, I have one aunt that lived there, and she's since passed away, actually, just this year. But I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna go, and I just want to go and check it out because I've always wanted to go. And we have to have that. That get up and go mindset. Sometimes when you are from the South, born in the South, there's so many people that just have that. This is their where they're from, and that's it. And you have to get up and get out and see the world and see there's so much life to be had. Mm-hmm. So that, I think, is so important. I wouldn't be able to leave Houston. Houston food, interesting, especially not for cold Chicago. Yeah.
It's not Antarctica, you guys. It's not all year. It's cold in the winter, and then it gets hot.
It gets hot. And I heard that Chicago summers are amazing. So I think, honestly, you got to experience it. You got to experience it. So okay. Now, you said that you're in your season of singlehood, and I named it singlehood because there's motherhood, there's fatherhood, but I said no. Listen, we're all in our singlehood, but I really want to take a little bit more of a look at that because, listen, I'm here too, and I'm not dispute. I'm like, what she said, it makes a lot of sense. So what was the catalyst for you making that decision?
The catalyst was I realized I didn't want to really be married. I said that on shout out to Sonya, Let the Lady Speak podcast.
Yes, yeah, and I watched it and I said I don't want to make sure and repeat everything but I said let me see. I was like, I'm not going to repeat any of her questions, but one or two maybe, Sonya.
Yeah.
You said that you didn't want to be. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I didn't want to be married, and I grew up around a lot of marriage. Being a wife and mother is no less than, I counted it one time, it's at least 12 jobs. At least 12 jobs to be a wife and a mother. And I decided that, I didn't really, want to continue, I didn't want that, and then I was, that made dating kind of more difficult than I thought it would be. I thought guys would be really into it. They're not.
What does dating first home tuber look like though?
Dating is getting to know someone, letting them take you out, doing all the things. That's dating.
Okay, so the first home tuber, excuse me, as the dater, as the datee, were you letting them take you out, then making sure that they're spending the money, making sure that and you're getting dressed, making sure you look, of course, but you're beautiful anyway. So
thank you, Crystal, you are too.
So but the dater in you, were you just like frustrated with all of that? Because I understand it. I'm not disputing anything, but yeah, what was that? Because it is a lot. You're making sure that you don't you're not answering to anybody. Was it
Mhm.
a little bit of that as well? I don't have to look good for him, or what does he think? That type of thing as well.
Well, men didn't really like that. When I told them that I wasn't interested in marriage, they found it really difficult to relate to me. And then I think for some people, if they're used to most people being a certain way, if someone is different than that, then, they kind of get nervous or fearful or whatever about it. And so, the men that I was like, I don't, wanting, I mean, we can spend time, but, I'm not someone that's looking for marriage. They just didn't, it said something off in them. And I can't, I don't want to speak for them, but I want to say kind of just the fear of something that is not conventional, not what you're used to, like what is going on here.
They couldn't
And so,
explain. They couldn't understand it. They couldn't decipher it. So because it was foreign to them,
right.
it was something they couldn't. It wasn't anything for them to aspire to. But then at the same time, there's plenty of men that don't want to aspire to that. So
That's true. And even those men didn't like it. Um, but I forgot what I was gonna say because you were wording it so well. I was like, go, Crystal, go,
the,
go,
the
go.
aspiring, yeah. So there's not
But
something that they can aspire to that is so foreign to them that
yeah,
wait, you don't want a long-term relationship. So go ahead.
yeah. And I remember now what I was gonna say is most people when they encounter someone who is different or not conventional or traditional, they'll question you about it like a lot. Like no, like it's hard for people to say, oh, okay, that's your choice. Cool. What
Mm-hmm.
are we, or do you want tacos or margaritas or both? People are like, well, why this? Why that? And now it's something they have to investigate. And, so that's kind of what I encountered.
Hmm. That's so interesting. So I know you're optimistic, and I know that you're very much a realist and you like the numbers, you're very analytical. So I really want you to go into that a little bit more because you said you counted it's 12 jobs, which is very true. um,
Nurse? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead. No, 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 go ahead. The nurse.
A nurse, confidant. You are the cheerleader. You are the one uplifting, not just the husband, but everyone in the household. Okay. So what do we have? We have nurse, cheerleader, first educator, huge thing. Um, um, uh, cook in some instances, the cleaning person in some instances, shuttling people around, being the driver, the scheduler, all of the appointments, all of the everything everybody has to get and go to, dentist, doctor, all of that stuff, and also being, you know, having, also serving the overall vision for
Mhm.
the future and being forward thinking. And I probably didn't hit them all. Shout out to the wives and mothers out, put them in the chat. but it's so much work. And I really respect the institution of marriage. And I understand the seriousness and the sacrifice that it is. And I think and I think because I had examples of marriage, I don't have a romanticized, idealized thought about it. I have real experience watching women, observing women and their husbands, and kind of how all that is required.
Miss Creative said, "I think it's because you're beautiful, Tuber, and when
Oh,
you don't."
you're beautiful too. I try to do her face all the
I
time.
love, and Miss Creative is gorgeous. So
Oh,
when you don't fit their world and they are highly attracted to you, it makes them angry. So have you encountered any anger to your rebuttal that you're in your singlehood? Have you anger
I,
specifically?
I, I love this comment. I didn't encounter, outward expressions of anger. I did encounter, um, men who are angry at women in general. There
Mm.
is this underlying like hostility, resentment, and it's running through, the manosphere. And I think that's the most obvious place, where it, rears its head. But, some men are actively seeking women, dating women, courting women, and they hate women.
Mm.
And that is a real thing out here.
Yes.
And
So
mhm.
in your research and in your because like I said, you're very analytical and you've done this, you've thought about this. I know you
Yeah,
have.
I thought about it all. I thought
Right.
about everything.
So it's been the manosphere because you're right. I was watching Let the Lady Speak, and you said not only did I listen and follow those certain manosphere, but then I also watched who was liking their comments, and
Mhm,
that's so the quiet ones as well.
mhm.
So was that kind of the catalyst that brought you to this decision as well?
Yes, all of it. I analyzed it all, and also, when it comes to, I also, listen to how, people are reacting to things. Like,
Mhm.
for example, sometimes I encounter a man who treats me well, but is like, oh, like victim shames or victim blames, or even like, body shames other women, or if there is like, I pay attention to what they say, even if it's about something that has nothing to do with them or me, or either of our lives. I listen to those things because that is what people believe.
Yes.
That is what people believe.
And it's so funny because you were on my panel as well, and we talked about just being a very active listener to men. And one thing you said is I listen to how he talks about other women and
Yeah.
how he handles himself with other people,
Mm,
and he treats you well. But then
mhm.
he's body shaming another woman, and I absolutely agree with that. And I hear that because to me, I'm thinking, so the next woman he meets, he's probably going to be body shaming me, or he's putting me down. You know what I'm saying? How is he treating me well, but he's putting in an effort to treat me well, he's putting another woman down.
Mhm.
So that is go ahead. Yeah.
I don't like that. I was just saying, I don't like that.
No, but you're absolutely right. And um the I've had a lot of very interesting dates, a lot of bad dates, especially living out here in Atlanta the last 5 years. So it's been very
I heard Atlanta is it crazy, crazy?
eye-opening. Yes, it's very eye-opening. It's and it's nerve-wracking. It's kind of, as we're going to go into this next topic. It's scary because something that you talked about I want to know, what does being in charge of your own sexual gratification mean to you?
Being in charge of my own sexual gratification. Um, is everybody in charge?
No, no, we're
Oh,
not.
oh, we're not?
No, as
Why?
women, we're not. But as a single woman who's decidedly single,
Oh,
on that
what?
trajectory to be.
Yes. So I abstain from sex, due to my choice. Because for me, I'm not speaking for all women, but for me, physical intimacy comes with, it's tied to other parts of me, my heart, my mind, my spirit. So I am someone who can't experience physical intimacy casually, and that's just the way that I am constructed. But so when I made the choice to stop dating, I abstain. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. Um, do you abstain from sex with another partner?
Yes.
Got you. Okay, we're gonna leave that right there, Monique. We're gonna leave that right
Hey Monique. Oh, what did Monique say?
there. So,
Leave
so
it.
I really,
In the chat.
I, you know, because that was very interesting to me. Because yeah, I'm in that same boat right now as well,
Mhm.
and I agree that it's not just sex. And a lot of people are now saying, women are in charge of, yes, we are in charge of our own bodies, and we're all we're in charge of our own sexuality, and absolutely that's very true. But we also have to have that mindset, or I would have to have that mindset, that it's not just about the sex. It's everything. My mind, my body, everything. So it's all connected. So
Yeah. And can I say, though, can I have a transparent moment on Candid Convo with Crystal today? I wish I was one of those women. I wish I was capable of it. I really do. I really, really do. But I'm not.
I'm not. I wish,
You
and
have to be who you are.
you are very candid, and you're absolutely right. I wish I was one of those women. I've always was like, gosh, I wish I could do that. I can't do that.
I really wish.
Do that. Give me a second. I'll finish a piece of fried chicken. 1 second.
Did she say fried chicken, you guys?
I feel like I was like sweating under these lights, but yes, I wish I could be the one of those women. And I said, I can't do that. I couldn't do that. And there's a lot. I have friends that can, and I'm like,
I do too. I do too. And I'm like, you better work, Mom.
So so when you have those friends that are just like telling you those stories, and they have, several, yeah, what is your interaction with them? What do you say to them?
Yeah, I'm someone who has had, relationships, and sexual experiences. So I know exactly what they're talking about. I'm not like, an alien, but
no, absolutely.
Yeah, but I find it interesting. I'm so into like sociology and people, and people are interesting.
Yes.
So I actually love those conversations. I think you're like that too. You're like curious and inquisitive about people,
Right.
and life,
I absolutely am, and I just can't just detach myself.
Mm-hmm.
Not from sex. I can't just detach myself, but I'm very curious. I'm very curious about, yeah, people and life, and all of that encompasses. So I can't just detach myself. So, but the people that can, I'm just like, that is so interesting. I can't do that. So I do want to go to something that you said, because I know how smart you are and how analytical you are. So when you were making this decision to be single, what questions did you ask yourself? Because I mean, it's a two-parter, because you're not just made the decision to be single, but to not date at all. So
Yeah.
that was very interesting. What questions did you ask yourself?
I asked myself, of course, if I could, handle being abstinent, which for me is not as much of a problem as I think it might be a challenge for some people. For me, I don't find that to be a challenge at all. To me, I feel like the most challenging thing is the financial aspect. So I asked myself about that. I thought about, the financial aspect, not having a partner, down the line, and, building with someone else. I thought about that. I thought about my parents a lot. And, yeah, all of the things. I thought about, yeah, all of the things.
All of the things. Did you ask questions of other of your friends, meaning your female friends and male friends, when you came when finally making this decision?
No, I didn't tell people for a long time.
Okay.
I didn't tell people for a long time.
So
Because
go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, people,
And I understand. I understand that, because it's not about making it, because you want to be at one with that decision, and you don't want other people's mindsets or judgment to affect, you don't want to, sometimes you don't want to have that conversation. Listen, this is what I decided, and that's it. But in that decision, I want to go back to the family in a second, but um and I know you get this because you get this question a lot, because I always think when somebody makes that a decision like this, and you're like, I'm done, I'm good, I'm done, that's when the man comes. Or not even the man, that's when you're like, you know what, I'm gonna, because I am decidedly not, I'm not going to, when you stop looking for him, that's when he comes. Or even hey, when I stop worrying about something, that's when it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So it may not, when you first said that, I said, watch she find somebody in about a year. Like, so when you said that on the panel, I was like, look at that. So so I got kind of excited. But when I'm excited for you no matter what, first home to me. But
Oh, thanks, Crystal.
I was like, when you make these not just decisions but declarations, and it's like a peace comes over you. So have you thought about that? What that would look like? Companionship? Are you interested in that, or what would that look like to you?
I'm not really interested in companionship, and I meet amazing men all the time, and I think that they're amazing, and I enjoy, spending time with them. It is a settling, nice feeling to know out the gate what it's going to be and what it's not going to be, because that it's not a possibility. So it's made relationships so much clearer. And so I have found that, to be a benefit. And yeah, I meet amazing guys all the time. And I think they're cool.
So have you thought about, in even though you don't want to be married, but what about like just companionship?
I
And
think
what
it's
that look like?
pretty much the same.
Mhm.
I mean, for me, I think it's pretty much the same. So I see them the same way, being a lifelong companion with somebody and being married to them.
It would be the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, okay, and you had mentioned your family. Um, hmm. If
Thank you, Michia. That means so much to me.
Yes, and you had mentioned your family. Yes, I love how courageous you are in sharing this. Absolutely. I know that you had said that, talking about your father, and just people are traditionalists. So that's
Okay.
one, and we're going to get into that in a second. But talking about your father and your family, what does family look like to you? What would a family look like, your family, not just your parentage and your brothers and things like that, but what does a family look like to you? And and I'm not judging, you don't have to be married. I'm single and I'm still thinking about a family, but what does that look like to you?
Do you mean like in terms of having children?
Children, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I never, before this decision, my whole life, I never wanted to have a child on my own. So the only time I was entertaining, having children was when I was in my previous relationship, and, we were, working toward creating a family. But since that relationship ended and I, subsequently made my decision, that's not something that I would do as
Okay.
a single person. My heart and my hat and everything goes off to single mother. And happy Mother's Day to my
Yes,
mom,
yes.
because I understand that it's a lot. So yeah, I totally admire single mothers, but I would not want to create that kind of family for myself.
I totally understand that. I do. I, I understand that. That's huge. And I understand, as you just said, after you're now not with that partner, that's not what you wanted to, that's not the world you wanted to create. So
Right.
Yeah, Ms. Creative said, Tuber, I completely get your mindset. Thank you for sharing. Absolutely, I totally agree. That is so interesting. So on Let the Lady Speak, you did have a question that was, or you did say something that was very interesting. You said you believe what women are hoping for is not what men are hoping to provide.
Mm-hmm.
Explain that a little bit more. Can you go into a little bit more detail? Because I'm here for that, because I actually totally agree with you that we're not communicating well. So yeah, explain that a little bit.
I think that I think I think that
Mary.
women can have an idealized, romanticized thought about what marriage is and could be. And I believe men approach it from a more practical place. And for them, it's about someone coming into your life and fulfilling certain functions and roles. Um, in his life, I call them jobs. um, you know, and and also, I realized that for men, like the most centric thing, and they'll never say this, the most centric thing is sex, because no man is willing to have a sexless marriage. And so I feel like, men are are going into it, and for them the perceived benefit are practical functions, and for women it's something else, maybe something more romantic.
That is so interesting, and I agree with you. I think nowadays we women are looking at it a little bit more practical, as talk about finances and money and building a house. But I want that we had this white picket fence view. We want that. Um, a lot of people fall in love. I always call it the hearts and flowers of love. You find this idealized view of marriage, but men, they look at, okay, this is the person I'm going to be having sex with. This is the
Mhm.
person that's going to be, and that idea of helpmate, because it's so interesting, because you call it jobs. This 12 jobs, yes, and we already got big job. We already got this career, but then we've also got these jobs where we are your confidant, your laundry, we're your sometimes your hairstylist, we're your cook,
Yeah.
we're your cleaner, we're everything else.
Hmm.
So yeah, I that's really interesting. That sometimes are we getting out of it? We're not getting out of it the same thing. We're not communicating on the same level.
And in marriage, the idea of marriage is sold to men and women in a different way. When men talk to men about marriage, they say, hold on as long as you can, young blood, don't do it, blood, that kind of thing. And for women, it's kind of like it has a different meaning for us as women. Some women even value other women based on whether they are partnered or married, So it's again, we're socialized completely differently. It's so interesting.
Miss Creative said, marriages work. Oftentimes,
Right.
people get married. They over time become miserable. Some have happy, and get marriages. It's Yeah, they're miserable because the communication breakdown, and because of this idea of, yeah, I got married. She's my helpmate. I got married. That's my husband. And are we losing this idea? I'm just calling him my husband, or is he my helpmate as well as a woman? What would companionship look like to you?
For me, companionship is when you have partnered with someone and you are collectively, growing something together, no matter what that is. So I think exactly what it is or what it looks like is up to the two people. But I think it's when you have that agreement and that bond, and you have decided to move forward together, to create whatever it is that you would like to create.
And it's really up to those two people. It's not,
Mhm.
it's not going to be the same for everyone. And going back to what you just said about or men, their idea of marriage, and you said your father was a traditionalist
Mm. Louisiana.
from Louisiana. Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, and so I'm from Beaufort, South Carolina. So all my parentages, I get that. Do you believe that men have this idea that when they get married, she's going to become my mother? She's supposed to do exactly what my mother did? What do
I
you think?
think some men have that. I think it depends on what their dynamic was with their mothers and what their needs are at that point in their life when they're deciding to partner. But they certainly, are expecting you to, perform those functions and do those jobs.
So is this decision more on your freedom? You just want, like,
Yeah.
your love of freedom to not have to worry about that a little bit. Talk about that a little bit. Your love of just, I'm only accountable to myself.
Yes, that's a part of it. But it's also, um, it's about what we personally value,
Okay.
and in this kind of arrangement, how much of what I personally value as an individual, not as all women or most women or some, the majority of women,
Unusual.
but
That's true.
me, who I am and
Mhm.
how I'm made, and what my where my heart space is. Um, it 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 costs too much. It costs too much. And there are people who have great marriage. I'm not saying that marriage sucks.
No, no.
Yeah, but yeah, it had to do with, it had to do with that. And I do enjoy, the freedom of being single. That is cool.
But I hear what you're saying on the accountability is only on me. Yeah, that freedom,
Mhm.
um, yeah, that freedom that you have, that I'm answering to myself, and in those jobs, go ahead. What are you gonna say?
I had a thought.
Mhm.
So when I was in my previous relationship, my most serious relationship, I was performing as a helpmeet. And I enjoyed it. I'm naturally nurturing. I naturally want to, what I mean? Be like, oh, rah, rah, sis, boomba. I naturally am like that, so I enjoyed it. For me, the freedom part, I don't have a problem with responsibility or
Right.
commitment. For me, the freedom part is free to show up as myself in the world and in my own life, and also it being okay for that to change. I think it becomes a problem. I think that that's a concern when you have tied your entire life, every aspect of your life, physically, financially, every aspect of your life is tied to this other person. And so now, there has to be more of a consideration as you change and grow. And people, in committed relationships, of course, you consider your spouse or your partner, and so you have to, if there's something going on with you, you also have to work it through with and for them as well. And I find myself to be dynamic. I find myself to be someone, who experiences a lot of change and also enjoys change.
Right. I actually totally agree with you. It's so interesting,
Mhm.
because I am that helpmeet as well. I remember my previous relationship, and I didn't mind the cooking. I didn't mind. Listen,
It's fun when you love this person. You're like, oh, let me get this. I'm gonna do this for you.
right. You don't mind doing it when you love that
Right.
person and when you want that companionship. Absolutely. but at the same time, if I change, if I want to, if I'm on this journey and I want to take this, this journey next week, that should be okay. That should be okay. Shout out to Chloe. Hey, Chloe. Um,
Hello.
but that should be okay. And it's so interesting. Um, I do believe that my previous relationship did not like, that I had my own opinions sometimes, and then, and so I think that that should be okay to have your own opinions and want to be able to speak up, and still love yourself afterwards, and you're accountable to somebody else in that aspect. I
Mhm.
like the cooking. I'd listen, vacuum and take out the trash. I can do everything else. So I get that. Absolutely. I was like, huh. I didn't mind that aspect of it, being that helpmate, being that, confidant, being that somebody that, looked for advice.
It's
But
beautiful.
absolutely, it's a beautiful thing. And relationships and marriage is a beautiful thing. So it's
Mhm.
not that aspect that, but I also think when you are healthy, in your mind, and I really want to talk about just loving yourself and knowing your self-worth. And I really what so because and I think that's why men have like this kind of, when you say that this is where you are in life, because they look at you and you're like, huh? They don't understand. So you, in this season of your life, you know your self-worth, have a healthy mind. What does that look like when you have those conversations with men a little bit? I know you said that they don't, it's not anger, but it's just kind of shock. Talk about that
It's
again.
shock. It's shock. It's lots of questions. I have less conversations now because I don't date anymore. But when I was still dating, it's because I wanted to be open and upfront. You know what I mean, about my decision and where I was, and what I wanted. But now, yeah, I'll get questions here and there. They make assumptions. They make assumptions. Um, because they're logical, creatures, and sometimes they think of women as emotional and not as really calculated, discerning decision makers sometimes. So I get a lot of assumptions that I'm hurt. Oh, what did somebody do to you? That kind of thing. But yeah, I don't get like anger. I get assumptions and questions.
Right. I have gotten that. Well, who hurt you?
Yeah, it's like so.
Who hurt you? Who, you know, um, and they wanted me to, like, I was like, you're really not getting that. That's, nobody hurt me, or did they really wanted me to make up a story about somebody hurting me, or thinking that I was, as I said on the other on the panels, that I was interested in my own sex, and I was like, no, no,
Oh yeah.
no, that's not it. I'm not. I'm not gay. But it's very much, they want to make assumptions on your character.
Hmm.
Something must be wrong with you.
Yes.
Must be wrong with you.
Yeah.
I've had, and so hmm, when that happens, because I know that you and your facial expressions are just like mine. What is your first inclination to do when they give you that? Like, what happened? What's wrong with you?
I can't. I have resolved that I can't. It's not my place to change someone else's opinion of me or what I do or why I do it. I believe in showing up as honest and transparent. So once I have been honest and transparent with someone, if they choose to believe something else, I just let them.
Mm, you just walk away and just like, you know what? I'm just gonna let you, just let you think what you want to think. Okay.
Yeah, because can I do? Are we really out here changing people's minds? I don't know.
No, no. So Onu just asked, do you feel that your opinion of being in a companionship will change? Are you set in being in a companionship in the future? Or are you open to discussing marriage, traditional relationship in the future? Are you open to discussing it? Go ahead.
That's a cool question. Thank you for that question. I don't believe it will change. I don't believe it will change. I can't see that happening.
So wait, your opinion of companionship, your state of companionship will not change.
I don't believe so, no.
Or discussing marriage or a traditional relationship. Okay, it's not going to change. I like that. Thank you, Onu. I think this is important because so it's so interesting because how we were how women, when I say we, women were raised, as we talked about. I've had dolls. I had the easy bake oven and everything, and men can stay single until they're well into their 40s and 50s, and they can. But we were. I'm gonna mention him. At my age, apparently, I'm a leftover woman, and
Yeah. Leftover woman, die alone squad, gang, gang, gang.
right. And so I honestly think it's up to us to be secure in in our mental health, in our self-worth, uh, and whatever that looks like. So I really want to go back to something that you did say on Let the Lady Speak show, because you said it was a lot of what you were seeing on social media that kind of partially was the catalyst for this decision. Talk about that a little bit, because being apparently, because I know I'm not a leftover woman, but how does that
Say
affect
it again, Crystal.
what?
Say it again.
Right, I'm not a leftover woman at all, and but how did that affect your decision?
I factored it in as information.
Mm-hmm.
It's information. All information is good because it can be used, to analyze and to figure out and to, make a proper decision based on what your objective is. So, yes, I learned a lot about men. I learned about men later in life. So I learned, but now I know everything about men. Yeah, so part of the information that I received was a lot of what men were saying out of their own mouths in this space, and I simply heard it, right? Because what I see, and that's the thing, I wasn't in the spaces talking. What happens when women, I've observed some women come into these spaces and want to rebut. So the man will say one thing, it'll be a fundamental belief, what he thinks, what he feels, what he believes, how he operates. And a woman will say, no, but this man is telling you the truth about where he really is. So I just simply listened, and I learned quite a bit.
You listened and you learned. I hear what you're saying, and it's important to take in that information, and you listened and you learned quite a bit about that those men that are saying those things, and those men are affecting other men and other generations of men. So I hear, yes, that they're affecting how other men think and believe, and how other men are acting and reacting to women out here.
Women, exactly.
So when you're doing the research and you're looking at that, they're like, ooh, so did that kind of just like so this is what I'm going to be running into if I keep dating, if I keep on this trajectory of of being a non-single person, or just wanting to get out there and date. Is that what you thought that maybe you would run into?
I ran into, I did run into men who thought like that. I think one-on-one, we're still in a place where men aren't expressing those things to women they are interested in a dating setting one-on-one, but they believe it. That is still what is in them, and how they think. And so I wasn't having interactions like that, but I did encounter men who had those thoughts, had those beliefs, had those ideals. But as far as like, I would be, I think I would be, I think it would be illogical to think I wouldn't run into those kinds of men because they exist.
They exist. So what you're saying though is so interesting, that they wouldn't say it. You ran into them and they believed it, but they just wouldn't speak on it.
No, I think they say it a lot in those spaces, and they become more emboldened. When this thing first started, a lot of them were just, click and like, but there were no comments. Now
there were no comments, and then they would start to date you. Go ahead.
Right, exactly. So now, they are a community. They feel more emboldened. They're, not only commenting, they are little baby, people who are starting, their own channels and platforms and podcasts to express these kinds of ideas. But I still think that largely when men are encountering women one-on-one and having a one-on-one interaction, they probably won't.
They won't speak on it.
Not in that way.
Not in that way. I agree with you. It's so interesting that they believe it, but the onus to actually have that conversation. So you're just like, you know what? I know that that's who you really are underneath, but you're just, commenting and you're in that manosphere, but you're not actually opening you're not divulging yourself to me.
Yeah, so, funny story though. A guy is how I discovered Kevin Samuels. This guy liked me. We had been I met him like in the art scene here in Chicago, and he was one of those guys where like likes all your pictures, that kind of thing. But he never said anything to me, and then he invited me on a date. It was a coffee date.
Yes, those coffee dates.
And you know what? It's like the only coffee date that I've ever accepted.
Okay.
So it was so interesting. And so, he was like, have you heard of Kevin Samuels? And I was like, no, I'll check him out. Yeah, I'll check him out. Because he kept asking me, how much money does a man have to make? And I don't think of money in terms of income only, because wealth has to do with your net worth and your asset base. And, so I don't think I'm like people are running around talking about $100,000. I don't think of money and wealth in terms of that. So he kept asking, he wanted me to give him a number. And I'm like, now watching, Kevin Samuels' content after that, a lot of his behavior made sense. But fun fact, it was a guy.
That's a guy. That doesn't surprise me. But the funny thing is that he kept harping on that, how much, and you're just like, I'm going to coffee. Like, let's just go.
And then when I watch Kevin Samuels, he's like, pick a number. I'm like, oh, I see.
So the dating, because you're very analytical, you're very, and I loved harping on that, because you and Kimberly, I always talk like, okay, I need, that financial freedom is very important. But was that something that you in the dating realm when you were out there and like, let me be open to dating, that a lot of guys looked at you for, that, that pick a number? Did they really, they wanted that, I need to be making a certain amount to be dating first home tuber?
No, I have never encountered that, which is why it felt so strange. I'm like, it depends on a lot of things. Like, and, he was like, how much does a man have to make, and pick a number. And, I was just like, I didn't get it. I didn't understand why he was like so focused on that. It was weird.
Oh, interesting. That's so.
No, he's the only person that ever
did that.
Yeah.
I know we veered off to KS for a minute, but the reason why we veered off is because we were talking about, at this age, and we've made these decisions to love ourselves first,
Mhm.
and not worry about the dating and the becoming a, and staying single to love yourself first. And I think that's so important. So that's why we went on to that. Um, is that a new date? Is that new dating?
New dating.
New dating. That's new dating.
And you know what? My heart goes out to my sisters who are still out there. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah,
Oh,
you keep saying that, and she'll say that, and then she'll like, let me drink some water because I'm just done. And it's so funny when First Home does this. She's like, my heart goes out to you guys. That's so nice. I'm not doing that. Like, so have you got?
because quality women, like I feel like I'm surrounded by quality women, and I experience quality women having, difficulties and challenge. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh God,
But
girl.
this is what, because I have a group of friends that we are quality women. We are
Right.
quality, but we're not. Yeah, we're quality, but we're single.
Mhm.
And it's so interesting. Yeah, we're quality women, but I don't think that was the catalyst. Was that like a third catalyst to that wasn't the catalyst to you making this decision that, I'm a quality woman. I haven't found him yet. So that wasn't the catalyst for this, right? There's I haven't found him yet. Okay. Okay. So I actually totally appreciate the fact that you're just like, I've made this decision. I always say though, I'm like, I am somebody who believes that when you relax and you stop concerning yourself with it.
Girl, stop saying this over and over again on the street. Ah,
Okay, I'll
it's
stop.
funny. But no, I get what you're saying. That yeah,
So
give you something.
I know I do. I keep thinking this because it's like, that's interesting. But even if and I'm gonna lead into this though, you guys. Even if she does meet this, she meets quality guys all the time. The fact is, you've made this decision,
Right, right.
and it's
And
important.
being a quality guy doesn't guarantee an outcome. There are great men out there, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee an outcome. So that is, that's how I see that.
So, do you still have, how we as women, years ago we had this list? Do you still have that list? And yeah.
I definitely had a list. I remember some of the things from my list. Um, they're very rare. That's another thing. My list was, not a lot of people would fit into that even. Um, but yeah, some of the things on my list, for example, I prefer a partner who is community minded, not just family oriented. For me, I have a, yeah. So yeah. So like I was someone who sees all of the children on the block as your children, right?
Hmm.
Um, so like yeah, things like that. I remember having my list. The list is good. Sonia
Was
says
your
the
list
list is
always detailed? Was your list always just detailed and extensive? Was your list
good.
always, yeah, that precise and detailed?
No, when I was younger, I just dated people who, treated me well and I enjoyed spending time with them. But then, later in life around the time that, I met my former partner and he came out of and that's so funny. Stop sidebarring. I'm sorry.
No, please do. This is fun.
But yeah, so that's my list came out then, and I met him very shortly after that. So that thing you're saying about, oh, when you make a decision or when you stop thinking about something, then the person pops up. He was a pop. He was a pop-up. So I know that that's a real thing in life. But yeah.
The reason I asked about your list and how detailed it was years ago is that, when we were young, we have this list. Oh, he has to be, and I never really cared about like the height, but like he has to be 6 foot with brown cocoa skin, and he has to um, make this amount of weight. Like he is so specific. Now,
Yeah.
if for women that are out there and just like really wanting somebody that I don't care if he's what's the saying, blind, crippling, crazy, as long as he's but I've never been that person. So that's why I asked that question. How specific is your list, and has
Yeah. Yeah,
always?
my list was more about principle
Mm-hmm.
and what he subscribed to and how he approached life and lived life and moved in the world
Mm-hmm.
rather than,
That's
that my list was very focused on that.
You look great, great, and it's so interesting because I've never been somebody that's gonna just want any man, and I've talked about this on my show several times that a lot of women just it, in California would say I need a man,
Mm-hmm.
and I was never that person because I to the same idea of when you let it go, that's when he comes. I said, when you just sit there and think, I need a man, you're looking for any man.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at you're in an abusive relationship or you're in a you got the opposite of what you're looking for. So when you start to just love yourself and you start to not look for just anything,
Mm-hmm.
that's when you're you start to love yourself. So that's why I asked about that list and
Yeah.
about yeah.
Yeah. I would love, like, for, my sisters, out there, I would love for women to find partners or men that see them, that can even recognize how great and special that they are. That's my first wish. I mean, I wish for you to have everything on your list, but like, I wish for people to find a partner who will see them so that they can be properly appreciated and to also get what they need from the relationship as well. That's what I really want for women.
Do you believe that we as women have a choice, or are we now believe that we have a choice? Are we starting to realize that we have that choice that we didn't before? Do you think that
Have what choice?
we believe we have a choice, we as women?
Mm-hmm. Do we have a choice
A choice
to?
in loving ourselves or having that companionship, because as we just stated, um we've always believed that we have to be married, we have to,
Mhm.
it's almost like to validate ourselves. And
Yeah,
we
yeah.
go ahead, yeah, that we
Um,
go ahead.
yeah, we're definitely taught that. 100%. Um, I don't want I want women to know that they have a choice and whatever they choose, that's what I want for them, you know? So yeah, women, I think I'm probably outside of the majority. I think most women, even given that choice, will still choose because they want to be married, they want to create family or to have companionship. So I think most women will choose that. But for women, if they feel like that isn't what they want, to not feel confined to have to do that.
Mhm. I agree. I think that sometimes and it takes us a minute to come to these decisions that, you know what, it's okay that we could, and it's not just okay, it's great that
Mhm.
we have our own mindset, and we don't have to have that traditional family. We don't have to have um that traditional husband and things like that. And but I do think that sometimes we don't believe that we have a choice. So what is Miss Monique saying? My ex and I listened to First Home discuss her singlehood on the
Oh,
he
you're
asked about
watching
2 minutes. He asked to see her and was shocked. She was beautiful and made that choice.
me.
He was shocked. So interesting. Hmm.
Yeah, men, they shocked, shook.
They're just shook. They're just so I do appreciate this because, and I really wanted to get to know you a little bit more as well. So that's why we opened up and just like, let's just talk and just hang out. Um, and honestly, it is a choice, and this is your choice. And you always say, shout out to our women that are not, this is my choice. This is not your choice. So I
Right.
appreciate you saying that, and just being really transparent with everyone. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, because when you make a choice like this and you're very vocal about it, you have people just don't
Right.
understand.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
so I just really loved and I truly respect you. I really want to just dive deep a little bit on your next projects because you got some things coming up with real estate and what's going on. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so on the channel, Own a Spot Live will be my next project. It's coming up. It's going to be a show on my YouTube channel, and I think it's going to be really cute. So the mission is the same, to help people, purchase their first ever property, to let them know that they can do it. I try to make it half education, half motivation, just me, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. So that's coming up. And yeah, that's what I'm working on.
Thank you so much. First home, I know that you're going to be talking about this a lot, so
Am I?
yeah,
I want to talk about home ownership. No, just
yeah, no,
joking.
I know. Talking about this, talking about home ownership a lot, and I just really respect you, and I just really appreciate your take on things, and just you're so analytical, and and y'all, we're gonna be having some more shows coming up with the panel of ladies. Yes, shout out to Let the Ladies Speak. Thank you so much, Kimberly, Monique, Grace Mercy Save, everybody that came in AW. Chloe came in and then had to run out. Misha was here. Y'all, this is the first interview with First Home Tuber, but I'll be doing some more. We'll be hanging out some more, y'all. So thank you guys so much. And definitely check out Misha and I will be doing our show every Sunday. We're back to Sunday. Tomorrow is Mother's Day. As we've been saying all show, happy Mother's Day, you guys who are mothers.
Mhm.
Um, we respect and love you very much. And thank you guys so much.
And
Because,
don't forget Mother Earth.
yeah,
Take time to be grateful to Mother Earth, who provides for us.
your job, you've got more than 12 jobs. We just couldn't name them all.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Listen to mommies.
you know what's so funny? Before you go, First Hope, you said something so funny. You said that men don't truly realize what it takes to give birth.
They don't even. I was on a live with a grown man. I'm not going to say his name. He didn't know. He was like, "What's the uterus?" And so their lack of understanding translates in their partnerships as lack of empathy and care, and being able to support. So that drives me nuts. But yeah, they don't even know. They don't know a lot of stuff.
They don't know a lot of stuff, and they don't have. The sad thing is, they don't have to know. I was watching this. Well, actually, yeah, this show one time, and this guy was like, "Women did this years ago. They held onto a tree. She yelled loud, and next thing you know, the baby was like they. He didn't. What? I was like, that is years. What? So it is very unfortunate that they don't understand what it takes. And they don't have to. They don't have to understand. But I do want to say, like somebody that I follow, of course, I follow Kev on Stage and Mrs. Kev on Stage. But there's also like the Ellises. There are Sterling K. Brown, and that these men they really take a deep dive into the what their wives went through, and they really take a deep
True.
dive, and they really understand. And unfortunately, I think it took their wife's first pregnancy that was really a shocking experience, and first almost losing their wives, to say, let
Mm.
me do the research on this. And there are men out there who really do want to understand, but they're very few, and they're very
Shout
they're,
out to them.
go ahead, what were you gonna say?
I was just saying, shout out to them.
Yeah, absolutely, shout out to them, because they really want to um educate other men on what it takes. But the sad thing is, and it's very unfortunate in AW, that they're not a lot more men that are really understanding what women are going through, what women, deal with. That
Mhm.
women should, take it on. That's what you're supposed to do. And you're not, but we need a helpmate as well, and we don't have that.
Thank you, especially at that time. And you need one that understands and is there to support all the way throughout.
Right. All the way. Yes.
Ladies.
Yes. What did Coco Brown say? I'm still stuck that a man can't believe a beautiful woman wants to stay single. There are a lot of women who know they are quality. Quality doesn't mean I need to be with a man who doesn't qualify. Okay.
Qualify. That's the word for today.
Qualify.
Qualify. Qualify, sir.
Hmm. Do you think that men after that, last question, y'all,
Mhm.
sorry. Do you think that after you've told the men, this is my stance, that they were trying to qualify themselves? Have they all, well, why wouldn't you want to, or just, I know they have questions, but why wouldn't you want to marry me? Well, I've got this, I've got that, did they ever try to qualify themselves?
One did. He was very qualified. So he ran down the ways in which he was qualified. And shout out to him. He did have actually a lot going for himself. And when I meet a really good guy, I introduce him to my friends who do want to be married. Because we can't waste good guys. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, we're gonna have more conversations like this. She said, I just don't want to waste them. Like,
No, he was a really good guy. I know it's fine.
we're gonna have more. We're just next. This was a little bit more of I had question and answer, but we're just gonna next time we'll just hang out. Me and
Yeah.
First Home, just like, and she just got to tell us that the one did, and he was really qualified. But I think,
Quite qualified.
was he qualified? See, and they think all they need to be is qualified in like two areas, financially and then the bed, and that's all they need. But they
Oh, I don't
need.
know about that particular qualification, but the other, like, I'm ready to be he Stanford educated, multimillionaire, a founder of a tech company that is global and crazy, and but chose this, I thought about this one, but chose he actually teaches on the south side of Chicago. And he used his money. He set his parents up, because when the company went public, that's when he received the millions, and still holds some equity in the company. And this is a man who chooses to educate children on the south side of Chicago. That's a serious qualification. But yeah, he found a queen. It wasn't one of my friends, but he found a queen, got married. He was serious. He was ready, and they have a beautiful child. I don't know if they have more than one by now, but the last I checked in with them, they had one.
And you're like, I thought, now him maybe like.
No, but no, he was seriously qualified though.
Yeah, absolutely qualified, but it's got to take the character too. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, y'all, thank you so much. Because me and first home, I could like another question. Like I could just sit here all night. Thank you guys so much. You'll be please tune in, turn your notifications on because there will be more coming from Crystal and Nick, Candid Convo with Crystal, and absolutely. First Home has got some great home buying TV show coming up. So, and even though I have my home, I still watch, and I definitely like listen, ask her some questions. She's has great advice. So, thank you guys so much, and good night.